but she is the only human being, I believe, that owns an Oscar, an Emmy, a Grammy, and a Tony. Yes.
Cheryl!
Yes. And yes.
Cheryl,
And,
I'm in the kitchen, baby. I'm standing in the kitchen.
uh-oh.
You talking
Here
about
she
your
comes.
website?
Come
Talking
on
about
up here,
seeing an
baby girl.
interview? God,
Whoopi
dog.
Goldberg, everybody.
All right, sit. Sit, please. Have a seat. Daggone, Cheryl. I'm all in the kitchen. People offer me wine to drink. They see me sliding down the wall. I know, but you're talking about your website. See the interview. What the heck? Thank you. Cheryl made me an amazing piece, actually, that I'm going to tell you. You can't see it, but she made me a necklace that has a photo of my mom on one side with me on the other. And so I just wanted to say this is spectacular. Thank you so much for making it. She handmade it. So now I'm wearing my one of my grandkids' sweaters. So it's got all kind of little creepy things on it. Now, I know that when you've done this before, you've had like adult speakers. You know, like President Clinton, Madeleine Albright. I'm not that. Okay? I'm not. You know, Bill is an amazing speaker because he can speak about anything, and his initiatives for HIV are extraordinary. And Madeleine has seen everything, and she's extraordinary. And you know, she's like Madeleine Albright. I'm Whoopi from Manhattan. I played around in San Francisco a long time where this horrifying disease and I met. We met in San Francisco, and no one knew what was happening, but lots of our friends were starting to get ill. Things were appearing in people's mouths, and no one could figure it out, and the doctors didn't know what it was, and so folks just kept doing what they were doing. And after a little while, when we started to sort of say to our mayors and to our congresspeople and senators, listen, we have this thing happening and we really need some help, everybody kind of turned their back and said, tough, you know. And then, of course, the evangelicals came out and said, it's your own fault, you know. And so we dealt with that. And we were having friends in hospitals who were being discharged. Not even discharged, they were being thrown out, okay, onto the streets. So people like myself who, you know, when you read the stuff that you guys have written, sounds really good. We didn't know we were doing anything good. We were just looking out for our friends who nobody was looking out for. So we had people in our houses who were dying, and in ways that were not dignified, in ways that were not American, and still no one did anything. And then, for me, a woman called Elizabeth Taylor said to me, listen, I can't get anyone to do this benefit I want to do, because by then people had begun to recognize what was going on. Now, the government didn't do anything. Reagan kind of gave us the finger and kind of, he did, I'm sorry. He did. And so we watched, you know, we watched. We watched a lot of friends die. We watched a lot of people try to do something, and then Rock Hudson got ill, and everybody suddenly began to pay attention. The government, in the teeniest, weeniest way, said, oh, geez, maybe we should take a look at this. But they didn't take a big look at it. So Elizabeth said, well, I'm going to do something. And she went out there, and let me tell you, man, she took a lot of heat. She took a lot of heat because people didn't want to know about this. There was one group's disease, and that was it. But then, once we started to see other people get this, we discovered that their diseases don't care. Diseases don't say, sorry, you're black, I'm gonna go the other way. No, disease says, I'm gonna eat you anyway. And that's what it did. And suddenly we began to see organizations pop up and people start to say, no more. Now, Chicago House, around since 1985, thank you, does extraordinary work. I wish there had been a Chicago House at the beginning, because the dignity that my friends needed and died without should never have happened. No doctor should have ever said, I'm too scared, get out. And that's what they were doing. They were throwing people out into the streets because the doctors were afraid they were going to get it, because they didn't know. Nobody knew how it was transmitted. Nobody knew anything. Then there were movies on HBO where it came from a bola monkey in Africa. Okay, it might have been smarter to give us the money to do the research and save the movie. It might have been, but it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way. So now, years have gone by, and we're still trying to get people to pay attention. Not because people don't know what HIV is now. Everybody knows someone who's been affected by it. And no one, and this is worldwide, everybody in the world knows somebody. But now, people are living longer. People are living for 25 years. Magic Johnson, still going strong, in better shape than 90% of this room. 25 years. There are cocktails and people taking things, and it's helping the better life. But young people are not paying as much attention anymore, because I know from my youth, as I recall it, some things feel better naturally. And it's hard to argue with young people when they discover this feeling. It's hard to say, no, don't do this. All kinds of stuff could happen. See, because in the old days, the days of which my youth was big, all we had to worry about was scratching. You know? I'm trying to be I'm trying to be as Whoopi-esque as I can, but at the same time being aware there are little kids here and you're eating and there's, I don't want to be too descriptive. But when you think about it, the things that, if you're in your 50s, you had to worry about in your teens or 20s, they are vastly different than what young people have to worry about now, and they don't know that they have to worry about it. That's the thing that's scary. They hear it like we heard it, but they don't get it because they're young. And when you're young, you're dumb. You are, because you think, this is my world. I've discovered this. I'm the first one to feel this. But it doesn't, well, yeah. I still feel that way, but they don't have the history, because that's what it is to them. It's old history. And we, as the grown-ups, we also are the same way, because we forget. We forget what it was like. Now, probably not the folks in this room, because you all have been in the middle of this fight for a long, long time. I mean, my God, the World AIDS Conference is coming to Washington, D.C. in 2012. It's a great thing, yeah? But it was shocking to discover why it had not been there before, why we hadn't had it before. And it's because there was on the books a law that said you couldn't come in if you had HIV. I was like, what, really? So until Barack Obama said, oh, heck no, and sort of took the giant pink eraser and erased that part, we now have the conference coming to Washington, D.C., where maybe we can get on some of our wonderful Congress people and, you know, a lot of those folks who seem to think that this is still not an issue. This is not going anywhere. This is not going to stop. And again, with Chicago House, I have to tip my hat because you also take care in a way that no one else seems to really gather, that when you get families sometimes and they need your help, you're right there with them. So you get folks from the street who may be HIV, you got your fingers taking care of families and kids. I mean, that's why I'm here. Yes, it was a nice invitation to get, and the food's been great, but still. The fact that you're doing something, that something is being done, I am still overwhelmed by the fact that people have no concept of what really is happening. There are so many innovations going on, and no one's talking about it. You know, I have to hear about the Kardashians. I like a Kardashian, but there's bigger stuff going on that it would be nice if people gave as big a heck about. You know, it would be nice, but maybe not. I don't know. So, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to talk about with y'all because the fact of the matter is I'm not an expert on any of this. I only know what I know because I've experienced it. I can't give you any statistics, but I can tell you what I've seen. I've seen that we're in deep trouble with young people. I see we're in deep trouble with black folks and people of color because the word is not getting to the folks in a way that is being held on to. So I don't really know what to do, except I thought maybe we should do some commercials, but they won't put them on because my commercials are graphic. Don't put that in there. Now that would pause you, wouldn't it? There you are, getting ready to have a good time, and you hear my voice say, don't put that in there. You know? And how come we haven't been able to find the way to free up a lot of these services? I don't understand. You can get Viagra on your health insurance. Why isn't it the same when a family needs help? Why do we have to find money? Why can't this be part of what we do as Americans? I mean, I don't know. I'm a little freaky. I realized that when I was young, America, I thought, had amazing potential. But as I grew older, I saw that some of it we were squandering. We could have been 25 years ahead of where we are right now if they had just paid attention. If they had just, no. Because then you make me think I'm actually saying something. I wanted to tell you because, did you just do that? Was that me? That must have been my last egg. Wow. I'm just going to digress for a second. You know, it's a little warm. It's your cute self. Go on. I wanted to mention something to you. I wasn't sure if I was going to feel comfortable enough to do it, but because you're here and because you've been such a great support to Chicago House, I feel like it's okay to say this to you all. The work today is not yet complete, and the future of Chicago House's services depend on the generosity of people like you. You'll notice in each of your program books that we've provided a donation envelope. We are excited to announce that with the generosity of Lee Charitable Trust, every donation received today through January 1st will be matched dollar for dollar up to $15,000. Okay. Now, that's a $30,000 opportunity for Chicago House, and we hope you can pass on that gift. But I'm going to be a pig. Because, you see, over the last 20, 30 years, when we were doing comic relief and the different things that we've done with lots of different people, I find that sometimes people don't know that it's great when one group does it, but that other people can do it too. That people can get together, like 2 tables right there, can get together and give $15,000, right? Or 2 tables, say, over there, could get together and give some more money. So as I'm talking, I'm hoping that this is saying to you all, you know what? I would like to give some more money just to shut her up. Or to keep her talking, God. You know, I once married a man who said that, and then he thought, I made a mistake. But now that I've done sort of all of the adult stuff that I came to do, I suppose that in looking out at you all, it's great to see a mix of people. You know, I sometimes do these benefits, and you don't see any folks. You know. So it's really nice to see this blend, but maybe it's just because it's Chicago, and y'all have been doing this longer. I'm sorry Oprah's gone. I just thought I should say that because she was here for so long. But now you have Rosie, and that'll be fun. Yeah, listen, she's a great chick. I can't come and live here, though. I can't, no. Huh? Why? Well, I've committed to New York. New York doesn't know I'm here today. But if I was going to cheat with anybody, it's going to be with Chicago. So, now comes the portion where Cheryl comes back. And she's going to do some stuff with me. You want to sit down?
Baby girl.
Okay, let's sit the heck down. No.
You first.
Oh, excuse, okay.
Yes, since you're cheating on New York, girl.
Yes, I am.
Chicago ain't a bad place to cheat either.
I'm telling you, cute as a button.
He's a firefighter too.
I'm telling you,
the
I've
photographer.
never seen an ugly firefighter ever. Never, never, never.
Well, they have a Chicago calendar of firefighters.
Really?
If you want to take one back with you.
Do you happen to have one with you?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, will you just let me have the firefighter and I'll take him back with me?
Okay. He is gone
I'm just
already.
Teasing. I'm just teasing. I'm old enough to be your grandmother, baby. He just said that's okay. All right.
I mean, you can take people on your bus, right?
Yes,
It's
I
big
can.
old bus.
Yes, so if there are any more of you gentlemen want to join me, please.
I want to go.
Okay.
I'm committed to Chicago.
Are you coming? Oh,
I'm,
so you would
I'm
come
born
and
and
cheat in
raised
New York.
here, yeah.
Ah, yes.
So this is my hometown.
Nice.
But I cheat in New York now.
See, well, you got to come and cheat because it's never a bad place to be.
Let's talk about it. The reality is, you guys, Whoopi Goldberg doesn't like to fly.
No, I don't if I can help it.
So she's got her one of those Madden buses.
Yes.
You know,
It's
and-
a country western star bus.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
And you worked in did 2 shows yesterday, and then you came straight here?
Yes, actually, I think that's what happened.
2 or 3? And she got here, I think, at 5 a.m. this morning?
Possibly.
Yes. That deserves a round of applause because she's here, okay? So, why was it so important for you to be a part of today's program?
Well, they asked me, you know? And it's nice to be asked to come and celebrate something wonderful that, you know, that you can go home and say, listen, you know, it's happening in Chicago. It's happening here. I mean, it just is great to have folks say, listen, we think you know a bit about, you know, what we do, because Chicago House helps the homeless, as well as people with HIV, and children, you know. I love kids, and so anybody that says that's what we're gonna do, I'm gonna step up to the plate, well, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, they made it easy for me to come, you know.
Did you check out their Sweet Misgivings cupcakes and
Now,
the bakery
I'm
and all
taking
of
the
that?
Sweet Misgivings back with me because
Ooh.
I'm a salt girl.
Okay. Oh,
I'm a salt girl. I
okay.
know. But they did manage to make a whoopie pie,
Oh.
which I don't know. I may try. You know.
A little. You
A
have to
little.
have a taste of
Yes.
whoopie.
Well, I have to put a little something in my
A
mouth.
little something. Yeah, but don't put it in. Or what was? What was your line? What was the line? You
Don't
want?
put that in there.
Okay. Oh Lord, I hear my parents. 40 years ago.
Yeah, well,
You
you know,
know.
40 years ago, they would say don't do that because it was about your reputation. It wasn't about something that was going to kill you.
Yeah.
And now, this is different. You know, it's vastly different. And because kids now are so hip and always like, you're younger than me, but I know that for me, I knew everything when I was a kid. I knew everything. If you said don't do it, that's the first thing I tried to do because I knew that I could handle it. Mm-hmm. In the old days, you got a little Krell and you learned your lesson. You know what I'm talking about. You know? But now...
Yeah. Sometimes you have to be drastic to get the message out.
Yeah, well, I think you do, and I think sometimes we're too polite. You know, there needs to be... I mean, I know that channels won't run the kinds of commercials that I'm talking about, but there was one that I really liked, and maybe it was throughout the country, but there's a girl and a guy, and they're in the car, and she's thinking, oh, this could be really nice and interesting, and wouldn't this be great? And he's thinking, I wonder if she's been checked. Now, to me, that's important. Mm-hmm. That's important. It's important, and I have to really do this delicately. It's important to explain to young people, and I know nobody wants to talk sex education in school because parents want to have those discussions, but they're not having them. Okay, they're not having the proper discussions because a lot of young women now think that, okay, I'm not going to have sex this way, I'm going to do something else, not realizing that orally, physically, wherever you're going.
Don't put that in there.
But it's important because this is what kids are doing. See, this is the truth.
Yeah, you have 3 grandkids.
Yes, I have 3 grandkids, and I have been really blunt with them. because there's no other way to be now with children. And when I say children, they're teenagers, so this is the 12, 13, 14, 22 age, where they think they know everything, where you're finding, I will say, at least in half of the country, that they're starting to have sex, both straight sex, gay sex, as young as 11 in schools, in the, what do you call it, the cupboards where you put the coat, in coat cupboards, and in the closets. I mean, there are things happening that no one wants to talk about with young people, and it's important that we do because they see it everywhere. I mean, my God, just look at True Blood. They are having sex all the time, in all kind of ways. The same with Sex in the City. Those girls were having sex all the time, but there was no one saying, listen, we can't quite do this way anymore. We have to find another way. There are no episodes on television where the girl or the guy and the girl and the girl are saying, we can't do it this way anymore. This is dangerous. This needs to be part of what's happening. And also, just again to digress, how is it possible for a vampire who has no blood in his system
The magic of television.
It's the magic of something because it's
medically,
a lie.
Yeah, medically you can't. That can't happen.
That can't happen. But there he is, moving away.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Because a situation can't become a situation unless the situation happens. That's with
Well,
the
see,
situation.
perhaps the situation needs to involve the truth.
Ah. See?
Maybe a little truth in the. You can still have fantasy and tell the truth.
I agree with you on that.
All right.
Because there's a lot of people in this room.
All right. Well, if y'all have any pull.
Perhaps writing letters in situations like that. Where have you found it to be effective in the work that you've done that helps bring awareness?
Well, I find that in what I've done with all the different folks, that the direct approach is always best. Mm-hmm. Because if you have people who are telling you the truth, or who you perceive to tell you the truth, you're going to listen. There's no reason why you can't get Justin Timberlake to do a commercial that says, hold up a minute. Mm-hmm. Before you go that step further, here's what can happen. Lady Gaga would do it. I mean, it's just,
well, Justin Timberlake, he did something on SNL, and you all know the song with the box. And perhaps it is a one of the most downloaded tunes on iTunes. A very popular skit. You brought up Justin Timberlake. I didn't.
No.
I mean,
yes, but you brought up some box.
Well,
that's all I'm saying. You brought up the box
you
part.
talked about the blood and not being blood and a vampire.
Yes.
So I hope you all are traveling on the train with us.
No, but I'm just saying that there are a lot of ways to get the information out. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things we can do, and
if you had a crystal ball, then let's be specific and give me 3 ways. I know you speak directly to your grandchildren, age 13, 16, 22.
How many little kids are still in this room?
2.
Okay.
We're going to go out into the audience and and get some questions from the audience. Uh-oh.
You got it?
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Hi, Whoopi. Over here, Jeremy.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Jeremy. Oh.
Hey.
Hello.
Part of the reason we brought you here today is because your work so very closely parallels what we've done here at Chicago House. You're very involved with DIFA, who indirectly funds Chicago House. You're very involved with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, which also provides about $50,000 a year for Chicago House. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with those organizations?
I've had a good time with them. Look, anyone who says, I'm trying to make it better, I try to give whatever they need. Look, I'm doing what my mother taught me to do. And her attitude was, you've heard this, I'm sure, the crust of bread.
Okay.
There's something that happens, particularly in black families, where they talk about if you have a crust of bread, you break that crust and you give some to somebody else and you have your crust. So the crust of bread is what I do. Everything I do is based on the crust of bread. Because if you have a little and you have enough to share, share it. Because it's not like it's taking it out of your mouth. You still got your crust of bread, but you can give some elsewhere. And that's basically all I do, that I try to do.
You're paying it forward. Now, Whoopi,
Yeah.
you've done a lot. You've done AIDS walks. You've done lots of things.
Yes.
Name some of the highlights of the programs that you've done where you have found it was very effective. that it made a
Everything I've
difference.
done has been very effective.
Somebody told me to ask you that. I didn't. It
But
was-
I mean, whenever you can convince people at home, little kids, to go and get their what used to be called piggy banks so that they could give something to a little kid that had nothing, and they do it, it's effective, When kids see other kids in need, they want to help. They don't know how. Sometimes it isn't financial. Sometimes someone just needs a letter saying, hang in there. I mean, they're simple things. You may not be able to raise $1 gazillion, but you can get somebody to write a note. You can get folks to go over and visit, and sit with somebody. And it's very...
There's more things to do than just...
there's more things to do, because not everybody's got dough. Except,
And
a
it's
lot
just
of people in this room.
Valuable. We have another question from the audience.
Yes, I was just wondering, you talk about a lot of different things that would help spread this message, but what do you see as the real tipping point in terms of a particular person, a commercial, or a sponsorship? What do you think will make it work?
I don't know, babe. That's why I came out and said, I have I'm not an expert in this. But I do know that young people talking to young people does work, Me talking to young people works a little bit, But Gaga talking in a commercial to young people works a lot, And it works in the different communities. What's that beautiful boy's name? Is it one of the Iglesias?
Julio or
No,
his son?
that's one of the sons, yeah. Julio talking would...
Enrique.
Enrique.
Caliente.
Mucho.
Enrique. Sí.
But Enrique
Delicioso.
talking to young people will work better than Julio talking to young people. Not because it's disrespectful, but because there's an age difference. And age does matter in this. This is a place where we need to pay attention to the fact that we are older, and we do know a lot more stuff, but we need to get those young folks out there. And, get in bed with Disney. Disney can reach a lot of young people. And it's not about the message of sex, it's the message about taking better care of yourself.
Jeremy?
On a more serious note, when is the next Sister Act movie coming out?
Did you actually ask me when the next Sister Act movie is going to happen?
He said on a more serious note.
Well, let me explain to you. There will never be another Sister Act movie, only because a great many of my older nuns have passed on. And I cannot make the movie without them, because they made the movie work, okay? It was a combination. So that will never happen. But I will tell you, there is an amazing show on Broadway right now. The music is different, and it's quite good. It's not Motown, but what is that man's name? Alan Menken. Alan Menken, who's written dozens and millions of amazing songs. He has 8 Oscars, okay? He's written a disco score because the story now takes place in 70s Philly when everybody was becoming a disco star. And so the music matches. And this girl who plays Dolores, Patina Miller, who's 23, stunningly beautiful. She's like 6'2", beautiful with the voice of doom. She can sing, because we made the movie because who said no? Yeah, Bette Midler, that's right. Bette Midler didn't want to make the movie. That's how I got it. Okay? So Bette said no, and then we had to adjust the film for someone who could not sing. So now it's been readjusted for someone who can. And it is stupendous and spectacular, and we'll eventually get to Chicago. But if you happen to be in New York, go see it. You can take your youngest child and your oldest family member to it, and there's not a bad word in it. Sister Act? Yeah. Oh, it's still Sister Act, still nuns and a black girl.
Same premise. All the way in the back there?
Yes, Whoopi, thank you so much for joining us. I want to ask you, from your perspective of being a New Yorker, what's happening with Occupy, and what's your vision for 2012?
Well, here's what I think is happening with Occupy. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And, this is how it was done in the old days, man. We walked on the mall in Washington, and we protested the war in Vietnam and the things that we didn't like. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's part of the American way. That's why we're here and not in, Iran. Okay? That's why we're here. That's what Americans do. We can get out and protest. 2012, I think I am very optimistic that our president will get the next term that he needs. I am hopeful. But I will say, if it doesn't roll the way that I want it to, I will be very hopeful that whoever gets this job gets the job because they give a darn about America and not because they just like occupying the White House. I am just saying, that Barack Obama has been in for 3.5 years. He's pulled us from the precipice of going under. He saved the banks, and he saved Wall Street, and he saved the car companies. Car factories are reopening, slowly, but it's happening. The man got rid of don't ask, don't tell. He made it possible for so many things to happen. Now, he's had blizzards and floods. It's been biblical. It's really, God's like going, well, can you dodge this one? How about this? But the bottom line is simply this. He's only been there 3.5 years, and that's what he's gotten done. The guys prior were there for 8 years, and we got no money. So I don't want to go backwards, I want to go frontwards. So whoever gets the job, they need to think about the people who work and live in America. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent. What needs to be focused on is what the country needs. The country doesn't need any more division. We know we're black. It's not a shock to us. Barack doesn't wake up and go, oh, what happened? So the jokes can go away. We get it. Some people are nervous. Too late. Some people woke up and didn't realize that they had voted for a black man. So we get to hear it, and we hear it in the radio, and we hear it we see it in the cartoons where people write things up or put out posters of, all the presidents, and then they get to Barack and it's just a pair of eyes and big red lips, It's not fun. It's not fun. So we got to get away from that. We got to get away from people applauding when a candidate shows a video of a young man who is telling his father for the first time that he's gay because he feels free enough, and you hear people boo. This can't go on. This is America, damn it. This doesn't happen here. So, regardless of where you stand, whether you're right or left, it doesn't matter. You want everybody to be respected in America. I believe that. We all love the country. So let's sort of work to get it together. So maybe whoever it is will actually give a darn about what happens. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, hello.
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 First of all, I think it's awesome that ABC is sponsoring this, and there's so many media sponsors involved as well. But one thing I wanted to ask your opinion on is I feel like the root of a lot of these problems as far as STDs, HIV, and young people has a lot to do with the confidence in young women. And I feel that if you instill in, I have nieces and cousins, and if you instill that confidence of self-worth and educate them and build them up that way, let it be sports or education or whatnot, that I think that's kind of the ground of, without talking about sex, even though that is important, to let them know that it's that there were something more than that. And I wanted to see your take on that as far as building women up in the community and anyways, that idea.
Well, everything helps. But here's where I'm at with what we say to young women. It's not so much what we say, it's what they see. Because they see if you become a baby mama, something different happens to you. You're suddenly someone. If we don't start this in school, if we don't start it in the house, moms talking to their daughters, but we've made so many errors in how we've decided to deal with young people, I think, that it's almost virtually impossible to say, listen, you don't have to do anything but be you. We've taken the emphasis off of education because, we couldn't afford it somehow. School districts were just shredded because we couldn't afford it. I mean, when your school closes down, your neighborhood feels like crap. So if we're doing it in giant patches around the country, it's going to be really hard to get people to realize that it wasn't them, it was another group of people who didn't get it. That's why people don't get up and scream anymore. That's why I love the kids down on Wall Street. Because, listen, why did that $5 thing go away? Why did that $5 the bank was charging go away? Because people said, hell no. Not one more penny do you get. I gotta pay for parking. I gotta pay extra money to get on the bus. I'm not giving you one more cent. And they went, oh, okay.
Just like that.
Just like that. So maybe if more of us are screaming, going, wait, just because you say this isn't working doesn't mean it's not working. Let's look at the big picture. We have to become part of the bigger picture. Were you raised, did your mom have to tell you every day you were brilliant? She did anyway, right? But you knew. Okay, did your mom have to tell you every day?
Still does.
Still.
81 years old.
Right.
Every day.
Look at her giving your age out.
She
She doesn't look 81. She look like, that's wrong.
Girl, we thankful for every day at this
Yes,
point,
do.
so
Yes,
we
do.
celebrate it.
That's true. But we grew up being told, not because they had to tell us that we were fine, but because we were. We were fine. We are fine. That's why there are so many confident women. Now, yeah, there are a lot of women that need some extra help. But you have to, at some point, you have to say, okay, where do I stand in the world? But if you don't start early in little kids' school saying, you are capable of doing this, let's see you try. Okay, I digress for 1 second. If you let kids play dodgeball and one team loses, that's okay. Because they then will come back and try harder. This idea that we have coddled children to the point that they cannot poo without somebody being on top of them is a lot of the issue, I think. I think it's a lot of the issue. We learned how to lose. We learned how to be, so it's all of those things.
Failure and rejection is your
and
motivation.
rejection. Well, you know what? I tell you, a lot of folks, who were failed and who were rejected went on to become extraordinary people because it pissed them off so much.
What do I always say? The greatest gift somebody can give you is underestimate you.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we could talk to you all afternoon,
you
and I
could,
know
but I can't.
But she's got to go back to her first love, NYC, the Big Apple.
I have to go back because I have no power in my house.
Yeah.
I have no power, no internet, no phone, no nothing. We had a storm. I live in Jersey right now, and I'm telling you, I've never seen it. Trees were just like, the hell with it, and would break. I mean, they were standing there for like 100 years, and it's. So I've got trees and down power lines and cats to take care of and
Oliver?
all kind of stuff. Yes, Oliver, the very angry cat. But it was thrilling to come and see everything that you all are part of giving to. And please don't stop, because it really does help. And maybe other people will take it up, and Chicago House will continue to be a beacon.
Thank you, Whoopi,
thank
for your influence in raising millions of dollars over the past years. So thank you.
Thanks.